Welcome back, music lovers. Ready for another deep dive.
Always ready for new tunes.
This time we're checking out the latest from Raighes Factory.
Raighes Factory.
Yeah, they're based in Sardinia, Italy. They've got a ton of new stuff coming out December 6th.
Oh, wow. December 6th is going to be busy. What kind of music did they put out?
Pretty much everything. Neoclassical piano, acoustic guitar. They even have some flamenco and jazz.
That's amazing. So much variety.
I know, right? It's perfect if you want to branch out or find some new artists.
Definitely. Where can we find their music?
Oh, everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube. You can even find them on Deezer and Bandcamp.
Bandcamp is great for supporting the artists directly.
Absolutely. So let's jump into the releases. First up, we have Dicembre by Carlo Corazza.
Dicembre. That sounds interesting.
It is. It's neoclassical piano, inspired by Francois Couperin.
Oh, wow. Couperin. He was a Baroque composer, right? Known for his elegant and graceful style.
Exactly. I wonder if those qualities carry over to Corazza's piece.
I'm curious, too. What do you picture when you think December?
For me, it's snow-covered landscapes. Everything's quiet and still.
You know, that's a perfect description of this piece.
Really?
It has this slower tempo, and the melody repeats in a way that's almost hypnotic.
Like snowflakes falling?
Yes, exactly. And the way those phrases repeat, with slight changes each time, that's very reminiscent of Couperin.
Wow, so it really does transport you to that wintry scene.
It does. The music creates such a strong atmosphere.
Speaking of atmosphere, let's move on to Wintervine by James Filkins.
Okay, Wintervine, what's this one like?
This one is acoustic guitar with cello. It has folk influences, some Celtic New Age, even some world music in there.
Wow, a real mix.
Yeah. And it's a collaboration with cellist Crispin Campbell.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the interplay between the guitar and cello is beautiful. Filkins uses delicate finger picking and open tunings on the guitar.
I love open tunings. They have such an earthy, ethereal sound.
Exactly. And then Campbell comes in with the cello, and the lines are so mournful, almost yearning.
I can already hear it. And the Celtic influence, too. Do you hear those hints of traditional Irish and Scottish melodies?
Absolutely. It really paints a picture. Speaking of which, they describe this one as delicate frost settling on bare branches and a vineyard blanketed in white.
Oh, very visual.
I know, right? Sometimes I wondered, do you think giving those visual cues helps people experience the music?
That's a good question. I think sometimes it can be helpful, especially if someone is new to instrumental music.
Like a starting point for their imagination.
Exactly. But if you're already familiar with this type of music, maybe those descriptions aren't necessary.
You might even find them limiting.
Maybe. I think it really depends on the listener.
You're right. Everyone experiences music differently.
Okay, what else is on this December 6th lineup?
We have Awakening by Juan Alberto Castillo.
Awakening. Okay.
This one's a mix of classical guitar, flamenco, and calming guitar.
Now, flamenco, that's always exciting.
I know. The rhythms, the melodies, it's so passionate.
It is. So how does Castillo approach flamenco?
It's definitely flamenco-inspired.
Yeah.
But his style is more subdued, more contemplative.
Ah, I see. It's not that full-on fiery energy.
Right. They compare him to Paco de Lucia meets Ludovico Einaudi.
Oh, wow. Virtuosity and emotional depth.
Exactly. He uses techniques like rasguado and tremolo.
I love those techniques. They add so much texture and movement.
They do.
Yeah.
But everything's done with such restraint, such elegance.
Restraint.
Yeah. It's like watching a tranquil sunrise.
Oh, I get it. Still beautiful, awe-inspiring.
Exactly. And they mentioned a tranquil sunrise as inspiration.
Interesting. Makes you wonder, is there a certain time of day this music is best for?
Maybe early mornings, when everything's quiet and the world feels new.
Yeah, those introspective moments. Makes sense.
Now for something completely different, we have Letters, the Hub Session, an EP by Fabio Mazzini.
Letters. The Hub Session.
Okay. This one's folk-ambient with some jazz influences.
Yeah.
And it features flugelhorn player Giovanni Tamburini.
Flugelhorn. Nice. What kind of instruments are we talking about here?
Well, there's Weissenborn.
Weissenborn.
Yeah. It's a type of slide guitar, really haunting and ethereal.
I'm not familiar with that one.
You should check it out. It's amazing. Then there's the usual acoustic guitar, some baritone electric guitar, ukulele, and of course the flugelhorn.
Wow, that's a lot. So how does the Weissenborn add to the sound?
It gives it a really unique flavor. It's got this warm, resonant quality.
So melancholic and hopeful at the same time.
Exactly. And then the flugelhorn blends in so well. The tone is so mellow, almost like a trumpet.
I can imagine. It must create a really interesting soundscape.
It does. And they're calling each track on this EP a letter.
A letter. What do you think Mazzini is trying to say through his music?
It seems like each track is inspired by a different story or piece of literature. For example, Santiago was inspired by Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea.
The Old Man and the Sea. So themes of resilience.
Yeah, and then there's Kumalipo, which is named after a Hawaiian creation chant.
Wow, that's cool.
It's all about rebirth, the cyclical nature of life.
Amazing how music can touch on such big themes.
Oh no. And then there are tracks like Yabalia, a lament for those affected by conflict.
It sounds heavy.
It is, but it's also full of hope. It's about the resilience of the human spirit.
I see. A somber piece with a hopeful message.
Exactly. And then there's From the East, which is dedicated to those impacted by the war in Eastern Europe.
A timely topic.
Definitely. It's a call for empathy and understanding.
So powerful. And Letters, the Hub session, was actually recorded live, right?
It was, at the Creative Hub studio and filmed by Calzini Speati Production.
A live recording adds a whole other dimension to the music.
It does, that raw energy, that sense of being in the moment. Okay, ready to transport ourselves to Paris.
Paris. I'm always up for a trip to Paris.
Last up, we have Montmartre by the Jerry Thomas Trio. This one captures the charm of Paris, specifically its iconic district, Montmartre.
Montmartre. Sounds lovely.
It is. Classic jazz piano trio.
Oh, nice. There's nothing quite like that interplay between the piano, bass, and drums.
I agree. It's so sophisticated, yet so versatile.
And when you have skilled musicians like Jerry Thomas on the piano...
It becomes a way of storytelling.
Exactly. Using music to evoke emotions and paint pictures in your mind.
They really capture the soulful charm of Paris with this one.
I can imagine those delicate piano melodies, the walking bass lines, the soft brush strokes on the drums.
It's also romantic and nostalgic.
You can practically feel yourself walking those cobblestone streets, taking in the sights and sounds.
The Sacré-Cœur, the Moulin Rouge, the artists in Place du Terre.
It's like a musical postcard.
They even mention this will appeal to fans of Red Garland, Wynton Kelly, Hank Jones, Kenny Drew, Tommy Flanagan.
Wow, those are some legendary jazz pianists.
I know, right? It gives you a sense of the level we're talking about here.
Definitely. Can you hear those influences in Thomas's playing?
Oh, absolutely. The fluidity, the swing, reminds me of Red Garland. And the way he touches the keys, it's got that Wynton Kelly precision.
Amazing. But he's not just imitating, right?
No, he's building on that tradition, creating something new and exciting.
That's what's so great about music. It's a conversation between the past and the present.
Exactly. With Montmartre, the Jerry Thomas Trio is adding their own voice to that conversation.
That's fantastic. And if anyone wants to dive deeper into classic jazz piano trios, those names you mentioned, they're a great starting point.
Absolutely. Each one has such a distinct style and sound. So there you have it. 5 incredibly diverse releases from Raighes Factory.
Wow, that was quite a range of styles.
From wintry landscapes to Parisian charm, there's something for everyone.
And don't forget, you can find all of these releases on December 6th.
On Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, Deezer, and of course Bandcamp.
So many ways to listen.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, what stood out to you the most from these releases?
You know, what really struck me is how much emotion these artists are able to convey without using any words.
It really shows the power of instrumental music.
It truly does. It speaks to us on a deeper level, beyond language.
Yeah, it really is remarkable how music can do that.
It's like they're painting these sonic landscapes. And speaking of landscapes...
Landscapes?
Yeah, I'm noticing a theme with these December 6th releases.
Oh, really? What kind of theme?
Well, they all seem to have this wintry vibe.
Wintry?
Like a soundtrack for winter itself.
Oh, I see what you mean.
We have December with those snowy landscapes, Winter Vine, with the vineyard covered in frost, even Awakening has this quiet, reflective feeling.
You're right, they do all have that in common.
Like they're inviting us to embrace the stillness of winter.
Slow down, take a breath, appreciate the beauty around us.
Yeah, even when it's cold and quiet.
And what's really cool is how each artist approaches this winter theme differently.
Yeah, how so?
Well, December is very classical, elegant and timeless.
Right.
But then Winter Vine has that folkier Celtic feel.
With a touch of melancholy.
Exactly. And then there's Awakening, which is all about finding peace and tranquility amidst the stillness, like a musical meditation.
Exactly. A wintry soundscape for every mood.
And for those who want something a bit more cinematic, we have Montmartre and Letters, The Hub Session.
Oh, yes. Those ones are like soundtracks to our own personal winter movies.
Exactly.
Right.
Each one with its own unique atmosphere.
I can totally see that Montmartre definitely have that classic jazz movie soundtrack vibe.
Right, like an old black and white film set in a smoky Parisian cafe.
Yes. Sipping espresso, watching the world go by.
And Letters. The Hub Session, with its experimental blend of folk, ambient, and jazz that feels more like an indie film.
More introspective and thought-provoking.
Long, lingering shots of winter landscapes.
Close-ups on characters lost in their thoughts.
Exactly. It's so evocative.
It really draws you in, lets you create your own stories and visuals. Remember, you can find all these releases on various streaming platforms.
Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, Deezer.
And if you want to support the artists directly, be sure to check out Bandcamp.
Bandcamp is a great way to do that.
You can purchase their music and merchandise directly from them.
So spread the word about these amazing artists.
Let's introduce more people to the world of Raighes Factory.
Now, before we move on to our final thoughts, is there anything else about these releases that stood out to you?
You know what really impressed me was the level of artistry and attention to detail in each of these releases.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
It's clear that Raighes Factory takes great care in curating their music.
They're not just putting out any old thing.
They have high standards, and it shows.
And they're doing a fantastic job of promoting these artists.
Giving them a platform to share their music with the world.
I think we'll be hearing a lot more from these musicians in the future.
I have a feeling you're right. They're definitely ones to watch. So are you ready to move on to our final thoughts?
Yes. Let's wrap up this deep dive with some closing reflections and leave our listeners with some food for thought. It's amazing, isn't it? Just how much musical ground we've covered in this deep dive.
Yeah, from neoclassical piano all the way to a classic jazz trio.
And everything in between. Flamenco, folk-ambient, acoustic guitar.
And yet there's this common thread running through it all.
You mean that wintry feeling?
Exactly. Like Raighes Factory has created this perfect soundtrack for the season.
A sonic tapestry woven from the sounds of winter.
I love that a sonic tapestry. It's so true. You can hear the hushed beauty of the snow, the crackling warmth of a fireside, even the quiet introspection that comes with this time of year.
It's like they've given us a musical toolkit for navigating the winter months.
A toolkit?
Yeah. Need something to set the mood for a cozy evening at home? Put on Dicembre or Winter Vine.
Craving a taste of Parisian romance? Montmartre will transport you there.
And if you're seeking a moment of quiet reflection as the year comes to a close?
Awakening is the perfect companion.
Exactly. And let's not forget, Letters. The Hub Session.
Ah, yes, that one's a journey in itself.
It's so introspective and thought-provoking.
Blending folk ambient with jazz influences, exploring themes of resilience, rebirth, empathy.
It's a reminder that music can be more than just entertainment.
It can be a source of comfort, inspiration, even a catalyst for personal growth.
And these December 6th releases are a testament to that.
They really show the power of instrumental music to speak to our souls.
To evoke emotions, to create entire worlds within our minds.
And to connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
All without saying a single word.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It really is. So as you listen to these tracks, I encourage you to pay attention to the detail.
The details.
Yeah, not just the melodies and harmonies, but the spaces between the notes, the subtle shifts in timbre and texture.
Ah, I see what you mean. Letting the music wash over you, letting it guide your imagination.
And if a particular artist or track really speaks to you.
What should we do?
Well, remember, you can find all of these releases on December 6th on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube, Deezer.
And of course, Bandcamp.
Yes, Bandcamp is the best way to support these artists directly.
By purchasing their music or merchandise, we're helping them to keep creating.
And sharing their art with the world.
So to Raighes Factory and all of their artists,
Cheers.
May their music continue to inspire and uplift us.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of new music.
Keep exploring, keep listening, and keep discovering the incredible power of music.
Until next time, happy listening.